Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, it's time to talk about a classic, The Young Frankenstein. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corydon. We have a lot to cover. In the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking to the director and a cast member from Elmira Little Theater's Young Frankenstein. That classic. You won't want to miss that. We'll start with some viewer comments. Then we've got a lot to catch up on. Just breaking news. A little bit here about Iran, a little bit here about New York. Let's get right to it. Well, this one's a little harsh. Pretty much all of the world's problems can be directly linked to Frank Acom. Okay. Yikes. All right, comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Only 85 days till Hochul is fired. I'm sure fired up about it. Vote Bruce Blakeman. Vote red. Thank you, Mark. We're going to talk a little bit about that race. And also the Attorney General candidate. She's making the rounds. She's doing a great job. We had her on the program probably, a month or two ago. All right, Ben Jones. You may remember him as Cooter Davenport on the Dukes of Hazzard. He also served 2 terms, in the U.S. House of Representatives. Have passed away at the age of 84. His wife posting on social media, I lost the love of my life today. Ben passed from a massive heart attack. He was home resting in his favorite chair, waiting for the Braves to come on and whoop the Yankees. Ben had the most amazing, rich, full life he loved and was loved by so many. He will be missed. I loved him so much. Jones was best known for his role as the friendly mechanic on all 7 seasons of the Dukes of Hazzard from 1979 to 1985, but he also had roles on other prominent TV and film projects, including Smokey and the Bandit, Moonrunners, and As the World Turns. However, following his acting career, he turned to politics. You may remember him in the political world. In 1988, he ran for Congress in Georgia's 4th Congressional District and won. He was reelected in 1990, but lost his next race 4 years later against Newt Gingrich. Tom Wopat, who played Luke Duke, was the first to post regarding Jones' death, saying the Dukes of Hazzard lost another integral part of the cast today. Ben Jones was a fine friend and a fierce advocate for all the best things we offer in the entertainment business. He will be sorely missed. All right, on Friday, just after the program, Todd Blanche was confirmed as Attorney General. The Senate voted 50-49 to approve him, with GOP Senator Susan Collins of Maine, remember that, rubber stamper for Trump, is what they keep saying in Maine, after Graham Plattner was accused of rape. He dropped out. Now we have, Troy Jackson. And their talking point is that Susan Collins of Maine is a rubber stamper for Trump. Well, she voted against Todd Blanche, as did another typical no, Lisa Murkowski. Senator Bill Cassidy, the Louisiana Republican who lost re-election after Trump endorsed his primary challenger, helped Blanche clinch his 50th vote on Friday. He said Blanche wasn't perfect, but he wasn't sure Trump would pick someone better to lead the Justice Department, saying, quote, the choice is not between perfection and Mr. Blanche. It is between Mr. Blanche and another acting attorney general who may not run the department effectively under President Trump and who indeed may not be as good as Mr. Blanche. Cassidy's support came after Blanche had already spent weeks negotiating with Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina and John Cornyn of Texas, who vetted his nomination as a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Cornyn struck an agreement with Blanche Sunday for the DOJ to curtail the payout fund and rein in a deal to exempt Trump from IRS audits. All right. Remember, Mitch McConnell is still recuperating, so he was absent, hence the 50-49. Blanche could only lose 2 Republicans and still be confirmed, and he did with Susan Collins. And Lisa Murkowski lost those 2, but was still successful in the long run. Hours before Friday's vote, Murkowski told reporters she spoke with Blanche multiple times, but that she was good with where I am. She said there was no one thing that motivated her decision. If there was one thing, we might be able to go back to the White House and say, hey, can we work on this one thing? But for me, it was a compilation. Okay. She added that she believed the anti-weaponization fund is pretty dead, but what is not so clear are the audit immunity provisions of Trump's IRS agreement, which I just think are viewed by so many in this country as wrong. All right. So Todd Blanche confirmed as Attorney General. Oh, hey, by the way, as an update, as we all celebrate America 250, nearly 2 months after President Trump proclaimed Washington, D.C. would launch the largest fireworks show in history, Guinness World Records confirmed it. The largest fireworks display consists of 840,537 fireworks, and it was achieved by Freedom 250 and Pyrotechnico Incorporated, both USA, at an event organized by Event Strategies Incorporated in Washington on the 4th of July, 2026. Despite weather delays and involved revelers being evacuated from the National Mall, hundreds of thousands of people still watched the Washington, D.C. fireworks that began just before midnight. The president also gave an abbreviated speech beforehand as part of the Salute to America celebration for the 250th anniversary of the country. Once it got underway, the show lasted for about 40 minutes. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum explained in June that the fireworks would be launched from several sites because of its immense scale. Normally, the fireworks are set off right along here, he told reporters around the reflecting pool. This year, because of the size and scale of this thing, there are so many locations where the fireworks are going to be going off, including barges. The White House launched Freedom 250 as a public-private partnership months ago, and the president serves as chair of the initiative. The previous record holder for largest fireworks celebration was a megachurch's 2016 New Year's Eve show, which featured 810,904 fireworks, according to the Washington Post. Freedom 250 spokesperson Daniel Alvarez said on July 4th, America came together to celebrate our nation's 250th birthday with the largest fireworks display in history, over 850,000 fireworks, lighting up the National Mall and the Potomac River and miles around in a 40-minute spectacular. This historic display shattered the previous global benchmark and stands as a powerful symbol of unity, resilience, and pride as we begin our nation's next 250 years. Freedom 250 is honored to have brought this moment to millions of Americans, and we thank everyone who made it possible. No other president in history could have accomplished the incredible feat that President Trump did at our nation's historic 250th birthday celebration, which included an incredible air show, a record-breaking fireworks display, and an inspiring speech delivered before hundreds of thousands of American patriots, said the White House. Okay, also, last week we had the story about in Michigan, I believe it was, where they were their water system was hacked into. Now in California, a city council for, I'm going to try here, Sisson City, S-U-I-S-U-N, Sisson City, declared a state of emergency after a cyber attack forced the municipality to shut down its informational technology network. The attack affected the communications operation of the fire and police departments in Northern California City, including the routing of 911 calls. Their officials said in a statement that the attack posed no imminent threat to the public and that all public safety services remained active. The computer network was shut down to contain the threat and preserve evidence for a federal investigation. The dispatchers are taking emergency police and fire calls through the Solano County Dispatcher Center. Online city services and internal operations remain temporarily unavailable as of Sunday morning, while cybersecurity experts investigate the incident and work to restore the systems. The attack is believed to be the first of its kind in the city of 30,000, located 55 miles north of San Francisco, as the threat of cybersecurity disruptions of essential services and local communities across the country grow. Now, we've talked about it. Could it be Iran affiliated? We know China has a history of this. Federal agencies are investigating cyber attacks targeting municipal water systems, as we mentioned last week, in dozen states. Okay, and in dozen states. Late last month, the FBI, the Environmental Protection Agency, and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency all warned that cyber attacks remotely accessed online, or cyber attackers remotely accessed online infrastructure for water and wastewater systems in at least 7 states. The agencies warned that Iran-affiliated hackers were targeting internet-connected industrial controllers to cause disruptive effects within the United States. So I didn't realize it was confirmed that it was Iran-affiliated hackers. Water systems in smaller communities depending on internet-connected automated systems, with many lacking the resources to provide adequate security, 30 systems in Minnesota were affected by a cyber attack, with officials reporting dramatic drops in water levels before backup systems were activated. In response to the attacks, a bipartisan group of lawmakers last week urged the restoration of federal funding for Department of Homeland Security programs designed to coordinate multi-state cyber security efforts. Governor Gavin Newsom, his office, in a statement to the Times, said that there is no evidence that California's water systems were among those targeted, saying cyber threats do not stop at state lines, and no state can defend against them alone. Federal cuts to the nation's cybersecurity workforce and critical programs have weakened the partnership, threat intelligence, and technical support that help protect essential services across the country. Reducing these capabilities while cyber threats continue to grow leaves every state and the nation less prepared for the next attack. So that is from the Los Angeles Times. Okay, let's go through a couple of other quick updates. Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has announced changes to U.S. regulations that would require commercial truckers to be able to speak and read English. Duffy made his announcement on Friday, which reported that English proficiency will now become a permanent requirement, saying, "Today I am proposing to lock English proficiency rules into federal regulations for good, so that no future administration can ever undo them." Barack Obama weakened this rule and allowed illegal truckers onto our highways, but that is not happening again. Over 26,000 unqualified drivers have already been pulled off the roads. Get ready for many, many more. Duffy's post also contained a video of an official asking a trucker to identify U.S. road signs, but the trucker is unable because he cannot read English. In a press release issued the same day, the DOT noted that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is moving to codify guidelines that enforce English language proficiency requirements for commercial motor vehicles drivers into a new rule. The release added that the rule codified into law, future administrations could not weaken the rules like the Obama administration did in 2016, which allowed unqualified drivers to remain on U.S. roads. The DOT notice went on to point out that Obama weakened DOT rules for English proficiency that had been in place since 1937 to allow more foreigners to enter the U.S. trucking industry. Obama's rule change prevented inspectors from placing migrant truckers out of service for their inability to speak and read English. Quote, under the new standard, CMV drivers unable to sufficiently read or speak English or understand highway traffic signs and signals will be placed out of service. Secretary Duffy's crackdown on dangerous drivers has already knocked more than 26,000 drivers off American roads for failing ELP tests. Federal law is clear. Drivers who can't read or speak English, our national language, or understand road signs are unqualified to operate 80,000-pound rigs on America's highway. By making these common sense English proficiency standards permanent, we are closing a dangerous loophole that has cost Americans their lives. The Trump administration is committed to putting American families first and ensuring the safety of our roads, said Duffy in a statement. They should be able to read and understand traffic signs, communications with traffic safety, Border Patrol, agricultural checkpoints, and cargo weight limit station officers, the president's order stated. Drivers need to provide feedback to their employers and customers and receive related directions in English. This is common sense. Okay, also, now we're running late. I got to take a short break. We're just getting warmed up. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Come celebrate The 207th Steuben County Fair from Monday, August 17th through Sunday, August 23rd. Wednesday, August 19th is Broken Bee Rodeo starting at 7 p.m. And there's more. Demolition derbies, monster truck show, games, rides, fun for the whole family. For tickets and information, visit SteubenCountyFair.org. Experience the Steuben County Fair from August 17th through the 23rd.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Showers and thunderstorms possible here throughout the afternoon on Monday. We're starting off with some slight rain chances here early on, but then also looking at thunderstorms possible throughout the afternoon and into the evening. It's kind of an unsettled pattern here setting up here throughout the next couple of days, so do be aware of it, but we could be dealing with some decent rainfall as well. Low to mid 80s here across the area, but we'll be muggy. We're looking at those high temperatures staying warm for early this week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Over the weekend, we learned that former President Joe Biden's prostate cancer has metastasized further and is now spreading to other parts of his body, according to Hunter Biden. The cancer was first detected back in May of 2025, just 4 months after he left the White House. In a press release from Biden's personal office, it was revealed while Biden's prostate cancer represents a more aggressive form of the disease, his cancer appears to be hormone sensitive. The first statement about Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis came after doctors discovered a small nodule in Biden's prostate during a physical exam. President Donald Trump and many others offered words of encouragement after Biden's health issues went public, saying, "Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery." AFP reports in a wide-ranging interview published late Friday with BBC Newsnight, Hunter Biden said his father's disease has spread since spread despite the treatment, saying the cancer has spread, it's metastasized into his bones and further. It's very painful and it's very deliberating in many respects, but he's still out there. He's still doing his thing. He so believes in this country. It's really, really hard and it's really sad to watch. So there's an update. On the Iran front, Iran aired a rare clip of their supreme leader. They released a rare video Sunday of its supreme leader appearing in prime condition amid his long absence from the public eye and swirling reports of his deteriorating health. The country's semi-official Mer news agency flaunted video of Mojtaba Khamenei sitting in a circle and speaking with a group of men with no context of when or where the scene took place. Khamenei was notably free of any of the horrific injuries he was believed to have suffered in the initial airstrike of the war that killed his father, suggesting the video was taken before the conflict even began. The supreme leader, who is yet to be seen in public in nearly a half a year, suffered a severe leg and facial injury in the February 28th strike on his father's compound. Khamenei's face was disfigured in the strike and he has been kept out of the public eye, sources close to the supreme leader told Reuters. With recent reports suggesting the supreme leader was suffering health complications from his injuries, Iranian officials have repeatedly denied that Khamenei's health is deteriorating and that he merely serves as a puppet of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps that backs his rule. The deputy of Iran's Baji organization suggested the Mer footage was merely the beginning of a new wave of Khamenei footage to reinforce the supreme leader is well in making active decisions in the government. Footage and other documentation of Khamenei actively going out in public in the streets of Tehran, along with attending meetings with his armed forces, will supposedly be released in the future, they're saying. The videos will once again bring disgrace upon the enemies and detractors of the Iranian people. One of the videos will be of the mysterious supposed July meeting between Khomeini and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who suggested last week that he might not have met the supreme leader at all. When we talked about that last week, where he was in a car that was completely blacked out. Pezeshkian said he allegedly spoke with Khomeini after agents shoved him into the back seat of a dark car with blacked out windows in a secret location in Tehran. The president noted that he could not actually see the man he spoke with for only a few minutes, making it unclear whether the person he met was actually Khomeini. Iran previously released AI-produced images of Khomeini after the initial rumors that he had been killed in the February 28th airstrike. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Now, Trump is keeping a low-key approach to Iran, according to new reports. After threatening to resume America's military campaign last week, Trump said he was open to a more hands-off approach as Iran's economy continues to plummet amid the war. We are low-keying it, Trump told Axios. We're only semi-negotiating with them. We are just watching Iran with its huge inflation and the fact that they have no money. Trump notably did not attach any threats of additional strikes to Iran in his remarks, a rare occurrence after spending weeks warning of big blows coming to the Islamic Republic if it did not submit to his demands. Iran's economy has been in a free fall since late last year, with its currency falling to record low levels as the cost of basic commodities soar. Grocery prices specifically have shot up since the war broke out, with bread up 140%, dairy up 116.8%, and food and drink prices overall up 113.8%. Trump said the economic troubles have been exasperated by the U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ports, saying the Islamic regime is in very bad shape. It will work out. It always works out. It's like a chess game, Trump said of the situation. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who I mentioned earlier, recently addressed the dire situation in the country as he accused the U.S. of exerting pressure in an attempt to provoke the people into protesting. The Islamic Republic underwent mass protests earlier in the year, as we know. All right. Now, despite the economic pressures, Iran's hardliners and military leaders have repeatedly said the country will endure the hardships so long as it can achieve its war goals, including controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Mohammad Bagher Zaldar, Iran's Supreme National Security Council head, said over the weekend that the strait will only reopen once the U.S. agrees to concede the war and lift all sanctions on Iran. Now, over the weekend, Benjamin Netanyahu fully rejected the 15-point plan to disarm Hamas after President Trump announced a breakthrough last week in which his Board of Peace announced a deal with the terror group. Trump claimed last month that his panel cut a deal with Hamas for the terror group to disarm in exchange for Israel withdrawing from the Gaza Strip. But Netanyahu said, I want to be precise here. Israel rejects the 15-point document. Netanyahu declared that Israel will not withdraw at all until Hamas is genuinely disarmed and will continue to thwart threats against our forces and citizens. We are now discussing this with the Americans. They have ideas, some of which are acceptable to us and some are not. And we now know how to stand up for those things. As long as I am prime minister, no Palestinian state will be established, not in Gaza and not in the West Bank. Despite their once famously chummy relationships, as the New York Post, Netanyahu and Trump have been at odds over key details of the president's push for peace in the region. So there you go. All right. A couple of quick things here about Fauci. I got quite a few things about New York as well. Definitely some oddball ones in New York. As I said, we're going to be talking with the director and a cast member, Igor, as a matter of fact, from Young Frankenstein. That'll be coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Tomorrow, we're going to hear about the life of First Lady Julia Tyler in that new book, Presidentes. We're going to hear all about that. I think you're really going to enjoy that, especially our history buffs out there are really going to enjoy it. All right, let's take a short break. Don't want to run too late. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
When you're online, don't forget Visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Every job has a moment where it could slow down or it could keep moving. At D&L Supply and Rental, we focus on what actually matters, keeping your momentum. From emergency rentals to weekend projects, we make it easy, we make it fast, we make it right. Less downtime, because our team knows the job, has what you need, and gets it to you even on Saturdays. D&L, built for momentum.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
With the U.S. Department of State releasing a travel caution worldwide, firefighters responding to a fire alarm on Wednesday found several safety violations.
Free local pantry here in her front lawn and painted post.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Have an enjoyable day. Well, good morning to you, and I hope you have an enjoyable day as well. Thank you very much. So Bill Maher, comedian Bill Maher, he took aim at Senator Rand Paul for what he claims betrays Rand Paul's own brand. During Real Time on HBO, Bill Maher accused Rand Paul of breaking with his libertarian views by releasing Fauci's pandemic-era diary and threatening to hold him contempt of Congress. Meanwhile, a public relations expert told Fox News Digital that Paul should focus on why that diary matters rather than how he obtained it. Stop threatening to put everyone in jail who you just don't like, Bill Maher said. Rand, babe, your entire brand is Senator Right to Privacy. You're the libertarian guy, the Fourth Amendment guy. It's your family legacy. Bill Maher made the comment after the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, which is led by Paul, voted 8-5 to refer Fauci for contempt after he repeatedly invoked the Fifth Amendment. Your entire political career has been about warning us about government overreach, Maher said. You're printing someone's diary? It's like AOC wearing a gown that says tax the poor. Tax the poor? What? Okay. Now, Jason Mudd, CEO of Axia Public Relations, said if Senator Paul were my client, I'd tell him to stop defending how he got the diary and start defending why it matters. A public official's notes on a government computer aren't a private citizen's journal, and that distinction should have been his first sentence, not his fifth. Maher previously made headlines for suggesting his vote is in play after voicing his discontent with the socialist direction of the Democrat Party. Media expert Kavian Shroff said politically Bill Maher carries resonance with a fairly non-tribal group of viewers. While that means he can often make both sides mad, we'll say. It also means he can be seen as above the partisan back and forth without a specific left or right agenda. Maher can spend 1 week arguing that Democrats have lost the plot, and the next saying Republicans have gone too far. That gives moments like this outsized significance. When someone who has repeatedly criticized Fauci and the left still looks at what Rand Paul is doing and says it crosses a line, it gives permission to viewers who aren't particularly sympathetic to Fauci to reach the same conclusion. In a polarized media environment, the messenger can matter as much as the message. All right. Now, Miranda Devine says that the walls are actually closing in around Dr. Fauci. Senator Paul is examining Fauci's government-issued phone and says he has a special interest in whether it contains evidence of deletions. That's significant because Fauci's former factotum, David Morens, is awaiting trial on charges of concealing and destroying government records, allegedly on behalf of his boss, and is facing up to 51 years in prison. Not that many people know that, since only one reporter covered his arraignment in May, and that was the New York Post's Josh Christensen. Paul may have bigger ambitions for Fauci than the criminal referral for contempt of Congress he sent off to the DOJ last week after the former COVID czar pleaded the Fifth an excruciating 111 times in his Senate committee testimony, rather than come clean with the American people about why he funded dangerous gain-of-function research in China's Wuhan lab. If Fauci can be shown to have concealed or destroyed government records, then he could find himself sitting alongside Morens in the dock, depending on how robust his last-minute preemptive auto-pen pardon from Joe Biden proves to be. In previous data dumps from Paul's Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, Fauci is already on record telling 2 associates to delete emails. We had mentioned this in the past. Fauci declared in sworn congressional testimony back in 2024 that he never deleted official records and has repeatedly distanced himself from Morens and denied knowledge of the secret back channel Morens claimed in emails that he had with his boss. Like the pardon of his son, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's retrospective pardon covered Fauci for an offense that he may have committed in the 7 years between January 1st, 2014 and the end of Biden's term in January 2025, related to his work as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. The unusual start date of the pardon, 6 years before the pandemic began, suggests some of Fauci's legal problems are connected to the period when he was funding dangerous gain-of-function research. Fauci's pardon covers the Obama administration's October 17, 2014 moratorium on gain-of-function funding to prevent experiments that could make certain viruses more potent and more infectious to humans, a safety measure driven by a group of scientists worried about the potential of a lab leak to spark a lethal pandemic. The pardon covers Fauci's June 2014 grant to EcoHealth Alliance. Enough. Kennedy also, it gets a little bit wonky. Kennedy, it says here that Fauci's government-issued phone was uncovered last June by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., according to Kash Patel. We think that there was definitely foul play. That's what we're working on, Patel said. Kennedy also discovered Fauci's embarrassing diary entries after scouring government computers for about 8 months to dig these out of 11 separate servers where they had been sequestered and secreted, Kennedy said. Now, if such evidence is found, it would place Fauci in the same boat as Morens. When given an opportunity in his Senate testimony to defend Morens, Fauci pleaded the Fifth. Fauci has repeatedly distanced himself from the man who had been his friend, a frequent guest to his house, a senior advisor of 16 years, and co-author of more than 50 scientific papers. Nobody would be surprised if Morens repaid the disloyalty by offering to testify against Fauci if he were offered a plea deal. So far, all that is known about this case is that Morens declared his innocence at his arraignment. The fact that only one journalist bothered showing up is a troubling sign of the ongoing media and Democrat protection of Fauci. All right, we're going to move on to other issues. A lot here about the Democrat Socialists of America and their rise. We'll be talking about that. Also, we have quite a few things here about New York State. I don't want you to miss out on that. So make sure you stay tuned. And as I said, we'll be talking with the director and the cast member of Young Frankenstein coming up here in a little bit. All right, keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. And we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget Visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
How we start a conversation matters. Text CONVO to 51550 for weekly conversation starters and connect more with parenting.org from Boys Town.
What life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. For us, it's fighting for all veterans, ensuring they get the benefits they've earned, helping those in need, revitalizing communities, and adapting to support today's veterans. The VFW, still leading, still advancing, still serving.
Come celebrate the 207th Steuben County Fair from Monday, August 17th through Sunday, August 23rd. Wednesday, August 19th is Broken Bee Rodeo starting at 7 p.m. And there's more. Demolition derbies, monster truck show, games, rides, fun for the whole family. For tickets and information, visit SteubenCountyFair.org. Experience the Steuben County Fair from August 17th through the 23rd.
Showers and thunderstorms possible here throughout the afternoon on Monday. We're starting off with some slight rain chances here early on, but then also looking at thunderstorms possible throughout the afternoon and into the evening. It's kind of an unsettled pattern here setting up here throughout the next couple of days, so do be aware of it, but we could be dealing with some decent rainfall as well. Low to mid 80s here across the area, but we'll be muggy. We're looking at those high temperatures staying warm for early this week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. So the Michigan Senate nominee, Abdul Al-Sahad, he was on a TV show, CNN's State of the Union on Sunday. And he said that Donald Trump and First Lady Melania have a rocky relationship. What happened was the President Trump, posted a photo of the Trumps alongside a shot of the candidate and his wife, meaning Al-Assad, and his wife, Sarah Jukaku, saying two very different Americas. He said during the interview with Jake Tapper, actually, Sarah and I like each other. I don't know about the First Lady and the President, but from what I've heard, it's a bit of a rocky road. What's he heard? Al-Sahad, a self-described progressive who is not endorsed by the Democrat Socialists of America, narrowly defeated Representative Hallie Stevens in the Michigan Democrat Senate primary last week. Now, he is a Democrat Socialist of America candidate, but he's trying to distance himself from that group. He's trying to distance himself from that Hassan Piker. Now, the remarks come as Donald and Melania Trump have been married since 2005 and have one son, Barron, together. Al-Assad and his wife, both medical doctors, have been married since 2006 after meeting as students at the University of Michigan and becoming engaged as freshmen. The pair now have two daughters together, Emily and Serene, and live in Ann Arbor. Yeah, he's right. You've got two different visions of America. One is which your overlords are two people who don't like each other, but join in the interest of making billions of dollars off of you. Or two people who generally love each other, enjoyed some pancakes together, want to come together to build the kind of America where they can raise a family and know that the family is going to have the good things, Al-Assad said. He added that Trump's version is a current reality Americans are now living in, pointing to rises in everyday costs like gas and groceries and questioning whether parents can honestly tell their kids they'll have it better than they did. Now, he also said on NBC's Meet the Press, he's distancing himself from Hassan Piker. Kristen Welker said, "You face scrutiny for campaigning with socialist streamer Hassan Piker, who has made a series of inflammatory comments, as you well know, including saying America deserved 9/11, describing Hamas as a lesser evil than Israel. Do you plan to continue to campaign with Hassan Piker in the general election campaign? Al-Assad said, look, I'm less concerned now with who I'm campaigning with and a lot more concerned about who I'm campaigning to. We've got a lot of work to do to continue to build a coalition that's going to beat Mike Rogers. So Welker, surprisingly doubling down, said, would you welcome him, though, on the campaign trail with you? He said, like I said, I'm a lot more focused on who I'm campaigning to. I think we have this notion sometimes on shows like this that we cannot or should not talk to certain groups of people. And I'll tell you that the 3 million people who listen to Hassan are people I want to make sure understand that there's a pathway into our politics around getting money out of politics so we can get money back in the pockets and mass Medicare for all. And so I'm going to continue to have that conversation with those folks, and we desperately need to reach out. Welker said, when asked about Hassan Piker's comments on 9/11, Bernie Sanders declared it a dumb statement. Do you agree? Do you disavow those comments that America deserved 9/11? Al-Assad said, of course it was a dumb statement. And of course I think Hassan himself would say that that was a dumb statement. He disavowed it. So yes, America didn't deserve 9/11. But to sit here and play gotcha politics with a dumb thing somebody said out of context that they disavowed themselves to say, oh, well, what does that mean about what you think? I want to be held accountable for what I say and what I do, rather than the idea that we're so stuck in cancel culture that all of us agreed was a bad idea back in 2020, but we seem to want to bring it back. Wait a minute. So the party that championed cancel culture, which is still championing cancel culture, now he's saying we all agree that cancel culture was a bad idea all the way back in 2020. Interesting. And again, the point that I made before, that a Democrat could never handle being a Republican for even a day. If he thinks that's gotcha politics, he literally campaigned with a man who said America deserved 9/11. He shouldn't have to answer that, is his argument. But again, he also talked, as I mentioned, so he was making all the rounds on State of the Union. He said that Donald Trump is an overlord, as I mentioned, with a marriage on a rocky road. Yeah, one in which your overlords are two people who don't like each other, but join in the interest of making billions of dollars off of you, or two people who generally love each other, enjoyed some pancakes together, want to come together to build the kind of America where they can raise a family and know that that family is going to have the good things. So yes, you got two different versions of America. Donald Trump's vision is the one you're living in right now. Can you afford your gas? Can you afford your groceries? Do you believe when you look your kids in the eye that you're actually going to have a better future? They're going to have a better future than you did. And actually, Sarah and I like each other. I don't know about the First Lady and the President, but from what I've heard, it's a bit of a rocky road. Now, let me see. How am I doing on time? Good. Senator John Fetterman warned Friday that Democrat nominee Abdul al-Sahad could cost his party a must-hold Michigan Senate seat, escalating a personal feud over al-Assad's campaign style, opposition to military aid for Israel, an alliance with far-left streamer Hassan Piker, saying he has put, that seat into play. And this is a conversation I had recently with Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. I was on the Pulse filling in for Mayor John Buckley, which you can find that on WLEA's website. But we were talking about, does that put Michigan in play? You've got the far-left districts in New York City, that once you win the primary as a Democrat, you've won. You've won that, essentially the general election at that point. But is Michigan now in play? But Fetterman believes it is. And after Bernie Sanders, this is John Fetterman again, and after Bernie Sanders and others created the disaster in Maine, and they pushed garbage people like Plattner, and now they pushed an individual like al-Assad that's been very proud of his very deeply anti-Israel views and proud to campaign with an avowed communist overall. Al-Assad defeated Representative Hallie Stevens, as I mentioned. Piker, who he campaigned with, and now he doesn't understand why he's being questioned on it. He campaigned with it, with him. Piker has repeatedly had made repeated appearances, with al-Assad, including at a Detroit pool party the night before the primary. The streamer has previously said America deserves 9/11 and praised Mao Zedong as one of the great leaders of the world. Al-Assad, the Republican National Committee, seized on this, saying Al-Assad is a terrorist sympathizer and an American-hating socialist. His refusal to distance himself from Hamas-hugging radicals like Hassan Piker reaffirms his true alliance to a terrorist group, not America. Democrats refuse to disavow this clown show. They either share his poisonous ideology or they're too cowardly to confront it. Fetterman challenged al-Assad to maintain that relationship as he moves beyond the Democrat primary electorate. And we know he won't. See, the primary, he won there, but he's already distancing himself. But I dare you to continue to campaign with people like Hassan Piker, because he now will quickly find out it's easy to campaign in the echo chamber as a Democrat, Fetterman said. And in the end, that's why he will prevail, meaning Rogers. Fetterman, so al-Assad released a statement saying Fetterman is probably the biggest issue. Fetterman is the sitting counter-argument to the kind of Midwest politics that I think really can work. He's also just a blank. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. He just seems miserable, and he seems like he isn't doing his job, or that he doesn't like his job, excuse me. Fetterman said he just has like this weird little man syndrome energy, just going around insulting people. And that's the kind of campaign that he runs. I think everybody, yes, that's enough on that. So, little man syndrome. All right, we got a few other things about the far left. We've got some New York State updates as well. Boy, we're running quick this morning. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Ferrari Auto Team!
The best nail salon?
Ask Google. The best sub shop? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during our Make This the Summer event.
Visit Ferrario Jeep in Elmira or FerrarioElmira.com.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread missile attacks.
Highest hospitalization to evacuation in the Western forced labor.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. So talking more about Hassan Piker and al-Assad, Tim Grant at Fox News says the primary win by Abdul al-Sahad in Michigan demonstrated that Democrats and their broadcast media allies can't really identify a radical left-wing fringe anywhere. They ought to easily find that fringe with radical Twitch streamer and podcaster Hassan Piker, who al-Assad campaigned with and refuses to condemn. Now that al-Assad faces Republican Mike Rogers in the general election, the networks are going to defend the Democrat against charges that he campaigned with Piker, who has proclaimed that America deserves 9/11 and the Chinese mass-murdering communist dictator Mao Zedong was one of the great leaders of the world. A few weeks ago, Piker appeared as a speaker at a college Democrat meeting dressed in a Mao-style suit. But don't call him a communist. In a rare bit of straight reporting on al-Assad, NBC Nightly News included this from reporter Shaquille Brewster on Wednesday, August 5th. He's also been criticized for campaigning with controversial left-wing podcaster Hassan Piker, who said America deserved the 9/11 terror attacks. Al-Assad said he disagrees, but would not disavow Piker's views. Most reporting on al-Assad was nebulous. The next morning, NBC's Garrett Hake said Republicans are painting him as an extremist with a Trump quote. The communists want to take their ruinous and deadly ideology of misery and squalor to every state in America, but we're not going to let them. This kind of vague quotation suggests Trump is making the communist stuff up. ABC reporter Rachel Scott said the president trying to focus on al-Assad, branding him as a communist. Al-Assad says he's ready for the attacks. Al-Assad gained his soundbite. They're going to point at me and go point at other names like, well, he's different. That's the best you got? The NBC News website, including an Associated Press dispatch that was no more specific about Piker than saying he was a progressive and controversial influencer online. On NPR, former Obama strategist David Axelrod advised what you don't want is for Mike Rogers, who has pledged his loyalty to Trump, to be able to create a distraction by using the DSA and Hassan Piker and some of the more radical elements of your coalition to change the subject. Just as you shouldn't talk about Obama's relationship with terrorist Bill Ayers or radical Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who said America deserved 9/11, MS Now's Von Hilliard pretended this focus on socialism and communism was totally false, fretting about how al-Assad could counter this sort of disinformation and the onslaught of money and type of messaging that he is bound to face. In another segment, Hilliard asked, do Democrats need to forcefully push back against the latest Red Scare in order to win this race? Red Scare. Just like the last century, the left can pretend communists are non-existent while their existence is obvious. In a softball interview with Caitlin Collins on CNN, Collins at least included a soundbite of John Fetterman saying he cannot unite with Piker, saying, I can't come together with someone if you are willing to embrace people that love Hamas or think that America deserves 9/11. She tossed to al-Assad, what's your response to Senator Fetterman? And asked if he had any plans to renounce Piker. Assad bizarrely replied, I'm less focused on who's campaigning with me, more focused on the folks I'm campaigning to. Fetterman also highlighted Piker's hatred of Israel. While the networks have ignored Piker, he's been repeatedly celebrated by the New York Times. Last year, a Times article hailed Piker and his muscle-bound physique under the headline, A Progressive Mind and a Body Made for the Manosphere. This year, Times columnist Ezra Klein penned an article titled, Hassan Piker is not the enemy, which the Times then changed to, This is why there's no liberal Joe Rogan. In April, Piker appeared on the paper's Opinions podcast under the provocative title, The Rich Don't Play by the Rules, So Why Should I? Why Petty Theft may be the new political protest. Piker brought out one of his communist heroes to justify shooting a healthcare CEO. Frederick Engels wrote about the concept of social murder, and Brian Thompson, as a United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder. The PBS News website included an Associated Press dispatch. Well, I had mentioned that. Piker has a thing for violence. He was suspended from Twitch in 2025 for advocating a Republican senator's murder. Don't count on the broadcast networks to ask al-Assad if he disavows this comment. The network finds things much less murderous still controversial with Republicans. In 2012, the networks all launched news when Republican Senator candidate Richard Murdoch stated in a debate that, quote, life is that gift from God. And I think even that when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, it is something God intended to happen. Reporters hounded not just Murdoch, who lost that election, but they tried to attach these comments to all Republicans, including, at that point, the Republican nominee Mitt Romney. In most midterm election cycles, the broadcast networks stick to general commentary about the state of the parties and avoid specific races. The exception is when they find a Republican saying something embarrassing and extremist, but they won't do the same for Democrats. I thought that was a good point from Fox News and Tim Graham. All right. We got to take another break. Oh, my gosh. We're almost out of time. Stay with us. We'll be right back, frankly speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story.
There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Mark your calendars. The future of agriculture takes center stage at the Youth Livestock Sale, Saturday, August 22nd at the Steuben County Fair. Come support hardworking Junior Ag Society, FFA youth, and independent youths from throughout Steuben County as they auction off the animals they've raised with pride and dedication. Cattle, pigs, goats, chickens, and more. All proceeds of the sale going directly to the youth. Join us Saturday, August 22nd at the Steuben County Fairgrounds. Support the youth, build the future.
Showers and thunderstorms possible here throughout the afternoon on Monday. We're starting off with some slight rain chances here early on, but then also looking at thunderstorms possible throughout the afternoon and into the evening. It's kind of an unsettled pattern here setting up here throughout the next couple of days, so do be aware of it, but we could be dealing with some decent rainfall as well. Low to mid 80s here across the area, but we'll be muggy. We're looking at those high temperatures staying warm for early this week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to a comment from Jack. He says, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Jack. Jack says he's actually thankful that the far-left Democrats don't support gun ownership. I can only imagine that if they did, we might find ourselves in a situation similar to Iran, where a radical government has the overwhelming advantage because it controls the weapons. The Iranian people have very little ability to rise up against their government without access to firearms. There are far more ordinary Iranian citizens than there are soldiers, but numbers alone don't mean much when the government controls the weapons. It makes me wonder what would happen if a government like that ever developed here, given the number of law-abiding Americans who own firearms. I suspect the results would be another civil war rather than the population simply accepting an oppressive government. So the next time the idea of disarming American citizens comes up, maybe think about what the balance of power would look like if the government were ever to become the threat instead of the protector. Just something to think about. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. We're going to talk a little bit more about the far left. A couple things here about AOC. AOC was making the rounds as well. I do have a couple of New York State updates that I definitely want to get to. Coming up in the next hour, I know I'm almost out of time, but coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking with the director as well as a cast member from Young Frankenstein. Elmira Little Theater is presenting Young Frankenstein. You're going to hear all about it in the next hour. We know that classic, that Mel Brooks classic. Well, there's a musical version of it created by Mel Brooks, and that we'll be performing here very soon. So we'll have that information for you so you can make sure that you write it down in your calendar, get it in your calendar. On tomorrow's program, we're going to be talking with Christopher and Sharon Leahy about their new book. It's about the life of the First Lady, Julia Tyler, John Tyler's wife. It's called Presidentes. It's coming out in September. I think you're really good. I know we have a lot of history buffs out there. I think you're really going to find this interesting. I just started reading it. I'm really looking forward to talking with them on tomorrow's broadcast. All right. Hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2, mere moments away. Stay with us.
Don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Watch news from the Twin Tiers and catch local events on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Whether you're in the market for new, used, or certified pre-owned, Simmons Rockwell locations across the Twin Tiers have more of what you're looking for with our best price right on the windshield. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
Being a boy, I don't know anything different. I had a very successful career. Life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally. And then I got hurt. I dug into mental health. I wanted to be better as a person. I start my day with a workout. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We've been talking about really a little bit here about the far left. We got a little bit more on that. I wanted to mention something, though, before I run too late. And this is at the Hornell Sun. If you've never been to the Hornell Sun, highly recommend it. Great source for your news. And this is in reference, if you recall, our interview with Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard. What was that, last week or the week before? Well, our friend Steve Sprague wrote an op-ed called Home Rule Should Rule, saying making cooperation with federal law enforcement illegal is just crazy. So Steve Sprague writes, when was it the New York State Legislature lost its common sense and decided hardened criminals needed a break? I grew up in Bath and left for almost 60 years. Military time first, returned in time for the flood of 72, then off to the Washington, D.C. area for almost 50 years before retiring back in my hometown. Growing up as a kid, County Sheriff Ted Katner was a kindly neighbor and helped build a respect in me for those who wear a badge and protect us. On my return to the hometown, though, I'm almost reminded daily that state bail reform laws are sending offenders back on the street hours after their latest offense, apparently robbing judges of discretion. And the so-called HALT Act is forcing correction officers to jeopardize their lives every day in prison, occupied by the worst of the worst. Now it's the governor telling our local sheriff he can't cooperate with a federal law enforcement agency. Specifically, counties are prohibited from cooperating or from cooperative agreements with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Steuben and 11 counties in New York State have what's called a 287G agreement with ICE. The one in Steuben approved just weeks ago by the county legislature. Steuben Sheriff Jim Allard, in a televised interview, right here, frankly speaking, a televised interview this past week, explained clearly how Steuben residents are better protected by helping federal law enforcement remove real criminal migrants from the population. His deputies are better trained in a far broader range of enforcement duties than ICE agents. The agreement does not give ICE the right to dispatch Allard's force for pursuit of wanted migrants. The sheriff is given a list of migrants who may be wanted by ICE. If local forces encounter someone on that list in the course of their daily duties, they're asked to detain them for ICE. ICE also pays daily fees if the subject is housed in the county jail. By assigning his deputies in clearly marked vehicles to accompany federal agents for an apprehension can prevent the hoodlum-style traffic stops unaccompanied and masked ICE agents have made, leading to the deaths of seemingly non-criminal subjects. Allard also reminded viewers of the importance of communications at all levels of law enforcement. Lack of that interagency communication led to 9/11. In the long run, I trust Jim's deputies far more than the ICE agents we've had to watch since this administration began. I've also shared with the sheriff my belief that the county should not be spending my tax dollars to detain or apprehend any migrant who is not clearly identified as wanted for real crimes. If the county is asked to hold a migrant whose only offense is unlawful entry, a misdemeanor at worst, it's a waste of our money and the deputies' time. Apparently, the ICE list offers only a brief reason for the detainment, such as criminal warrants or court-enforced immigration violations. The sheriff may have no latitude under the agreement to reject a non-criminal apprehension, but when New York authorized charter counties to make their own laws, that should have granted counties the power to reject pure, politically based state laws. Maybe the courts will settle it. Statistics have shown that this administration's crusade against any non-citizen, regardless of actual criminal activity, has led to the willy-nilly roundup of thousands of law-abiding and contributing residents, many of whom are trying to earn citizenship. Steuben County has long depended on guest workers for farm harvest and jobs real Americans just don't want to do. Sheriff Allard also explained that his agency benefits from grant funding from both the state and federal government, but the governor's edict would end any federal grant opportunity while ignoring it would end any grant approach. It's crazy. Steuben adopted a county charter a number of years ago to provide it with more home rule. County legislators recently approved new 287G contracts that bring significant cash to the local treasury, but with the understanding the agreement doesn't turn deputies into ICE proxy agents. Home rule should also give local judges the right to decide if offenders deserve the no bail release. Through all of my 4 careers, I've worked with all levels of law enforcement officers, and I've kept the respect that Sheriff Ted instilled. But even as a DHS alumni myself, I don't recognize ICE today. They're a disgrace to the role they play. It appears they've essentially been instructed to be ruthless. If we can't prevent the federal agency's poorly trained or badly vetted troops from being here, I want the deputies I trust to be at their side. The deputies are better, far more professional, and certainly more compassionate. The governor and the state legislature need to not only recall the restriction, but to mandate the presence of local law enforcement oversight anywhere ICE ventures in New York, and revisit law that respects violators more than the officers who protect us. Please, common sense. That is Steve Sprague at the Hornell Sun. I wanted to pass it on to you, get your thoughts on that. Okay. Ken writes in, Frank, I listened to Abdul al-Assad on Meet the Depressed. He seems very much like Obama. He doesn't think about himself for a second. He's all about helping the downtrodden people of America. He doesn't pay any attention to the anti-American views of people that campaign with him. He just wants to reach out to everyone and make sure their lives are better. Everything said about him are lies by people that just want the status quo. By the way, could you let the sheeple that watch your show know that I recently acquired a bridge in New York City and will sell it at a very modest price? Thank you, Ken. Yes, his interview was something. And then we have Francesca Hong. She's the lady that wanted to get rid of Thanksgiving. Well, behind Francesca Hong's flighty campaign is a hateful movement, and it's landing on the right ears, according to Isaac Shore. We need more witch poems written by fabulous Asians. We need more algorithms written by immigrant trans folk. We need more Supreme Court decisions written by activists, people of color. We need more speculative fiction written by indigenous Latinx. In Wisconsin, in a cafe, a series of posters assert as much before following up with a haunting question. What are you doing to help make that happen? On Saturday night, attendees of an event hosted by the establishment could answer with their chin up. They're going to elect Francesca Hong governor, a Democrat socialist member of the state assembly and the prohibitive favorite to succeed Governor Tony Ivers as the Democrat nominee for his office come Tuesday. Hong is featured in headlines for all the wrong reasons this last week. In a much maligned November 2020 tweet, she called on officials to cancel Thanksgiving. Needless to say, she picked the right place for Saturday's get-together. Still, while the lawmakers' risible social media history and untidy cleanup efforts have been the subject of much mockery, Hong is well-positioned to capitalize on the rage of a fist-clenching electorate ready to show up at the polls to punish, not build. From the stage, Hong submitted that what's been missing from our politics for far too long is creativity, joy, and commitment. A few moments later, she repeated the plea, this time identifying joy, positivity, and unity as the foundation of her movement, if only. Hong's message is a resentful one, and it's landing on the right ears. The first question she fielded at that town hall was about what she would do to progressives' favorite boogeyman, Elon Musk. She said, I will use every tool in the executive's office to make sure that we are not only holding Elon Musk accountable, but that we are prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law individual ICE agents who break the law. Thunderous applause. A few moments later, Hong scoped in on Madison police, whom she vowed to hold accountable for the death of Corey Ruiz, a black man who was shot in the Capitol after pulling a knife on officers last month. I'm following the case in conversations with local government and have been demanding accountability and justice. It's important for folks to know that as someone who believes in the rule of law, we investigate every murder to make sure there is justice for the victims. Murder. More applause. Her likely general election opponent, Republican Congressman Tom Tiffany, fared little better. Hong deemed him a pedophile protector and traitor, the kind that meet their maker in the gallows. Their business, they explained, was nothing short of fighting fascism. She knows her audience. A most pleasant young man sitting outside the cafe before its doors opened wanted her to go even further. He attended a similar event with the same candidate at the same venue last year and said his impression of her was that she was taking a very safe route of appealing to our average Wisconsinite, being as in the middle as possible, which 8 years ago I would have loved. But these days I really want the energy of, we have essentially Nazis in the White House. They're doing unconstitutional and illegal things on a daily basis. They're committing war crimes. We will hold them accountable and punish them. He must have liked what he heard on Saturday, and his thoughts on Israel, the easiest two words would be blank Israel. Hong's disdain for the world's only Jewish minority state, he said, is a big point in her favor. An older couple concurred that freezing out Israel was important and cited her plan to get rid of ICE as one of their principal reasons to support her. Check and check. Nationally, Hong has been portrayed as a kind of living joke, a ditzy relic of peak woke who compares unfavorably to more polished far-left figures like Zohran Mamdani and Abdul Assad. Remember, Bernie Sanders wouldn't even endorse her. Those portrayals miss the meaning of her candidacy entirely, because beneath the flighty calls for more witch poems and empty appeals to joy, there's an irrepressible anger that she's offering a vengeful, self-righteous, seeming outlet for. And hatred dressed up as love is just about the most alluring thing there is. All right. Now, James Carville predicted the 2028 Democrat primary will test the true strength of the party's socialist wing. Now, there's been a lot of, and James Carville is one of them, but a lot of concern that if Democrats go with this socialist candidate, as is the case with AOC and others, we got a few things here about AOC, but that they will ultimately lose the presidential race. And Carville was talking about that. But he says, I'm not going to be the same party with Hassan Piker. If he becomes a force in a Democrat party, I'm out of here. I have no intention of ever being in the same political party with that guy. But he advises that 2028 will be the real test of the far left strength, saying this, I believe 100%. The future direction of the Democrat Party is going to be decided by Democrat primary voters in 2028. Everyone claims they're the ascendant ring, all right, on the 2028 presidential election. And this can only be resolved at the presidential level. It cannot be resolved at the state level. And I'm sure that there will be robust representation from the DSA ring of the party, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there'll be a robust number of candidates from what I would call the governing wing of the Democrat Party, but you call it what you want, meaning like establishment. He asserted again that this is a matter of politics that must be decided by the base of the party itself. And this can't be solved through op-ed pieces. It can't be solved through cable TV network packages, panels. It can only, and that's the way it should be, that the Democrats themselves have to settle on the direction of their party. And they're going to have all the options. We'll just see how popular that is. I'm going to let Democrat voters determine the direction the party goes in. And it goes in the direction of, I'm pretty confident it won't, but if it goes in the direction that I'm going to be 82. Okay, fine, go ahead, but not with me. Until Democrat voters choose the direction of the party, I'll try to do all I can to help them make the right choice, in my opinion. So that's James Carville. All right, we got to take a short break. Yeah, when we return, a little bit more on this, and then we'll get to our guests with Young Frankenstein. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Looking for a meaningful day trip close to home? Visit the historic Elmira Prison Camp, one of the most significant Civil War sites in the North. Walk the grounds, stand where history happened, discover powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival that shaped our nation. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a family looking to learn together, or simply exploring the Finger Lakes region, we offer an experience you won't forget. Plan your visit today at elmiracivilwar.org. Preserve, discover, remember.
You may see a teen struggling to find his way.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, we see a teen gaining the confidence and skills to land his first job. You may see a child wrestling with hidden battles. We see a child learning to manage life's twists and turns. And where you may see a distracted teen, we see teens making a difference in their community. Kids today need people to see their potential and help them achieve it. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we do whatever it takes to help kids succeed, from fostering confidence and community to preparing them for graduation and beyond. Because when we see young people, we see limitless possibilities. Do you? Join us, Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
Showers and thunderstorms possible here throughout the afternoon on Monday. We're starting off with some slight rain chances here early on, but then also looking at thunderstorms possible throughout the afternoon and into the evening. It's kind of an unsettled pattern here setting up here throughout the next couple of days, so do be aware of it, but we could be dealing with some decent rainfall as well. Low to mid 80s here across the area, but we'll be muggy. We're looking at those high temperatures staying warm for early this week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer regarding the ICE article. Before ICE, it was clear that domestic police, etc., were not doing a very good job in removing these criminals from our streets. In my opinion, we need and still need ICE to intervene and work in conjunction with local police to determine the level of threat these criminals pose and to therefore ensure the security of our communities. In view of this, I take this article to be clearly anti-ICE and pro-idiocy. Okay? We got some other comments coming in. We'll get to those in just a moment. We do have our guests coming in from Young Frankenstein, presented by Elmira Little Theater. But before that, they're saying that the new boogeyman for Trump and the GOP is Abdul al-Assad. Trump said during a Las Vegas event, Abdul al-Assad, lovely gentleman, he's a man of hate. And now he's going around saying, no, I love everybody. He doesn't love everybody. Put him in office, you're going to find out who he loves. He called him a communist. On the national messaging, it works for their administration to elevate the anti-al-Assad rhetoric, said one of former Trump administration officials. Can you scare the base to be scared of Muslim socialist communists? Al-Assad pushed back on the remarks from Trump and his opponent, former Representative Mike Rogers. He said his full name on stage and added, with a name like mine, I never thought running for office would be possible for someone like me. He also offered some sharp words for Rogers, saying, Mike Rogers, well, he decided that he wants to focus on my name, my 11-letter first name. Now, Mike, I'm just going to remind you, if you don't know how to say the name, keep the name out of your blanking mouth, okay? So it's the Republicans making him the boogeyman, even though, again, he did campaign with Asim Piker. But Liz Peek, who writes for the New York Post, but I don't think this was at the New York Post, and I apologize, it doesn't show where exactly it was published from. But Liz Peek says Republicans need to make some noise. It's not enough to gloat over the rise of what many in the Republican Party consider the loony left. Rather, Republicans must convince voters they deserve to keep the majority in the House and the Senate, and currently their message is thin. Get your thoughts on this. Republicans are practically salivating over the nomination of Abdul al-Assad, an anti-Israel Muslim extremist, to run for the seat held by the retiring Senator Gary Peters. Al-Assad's victory improves their chances of hoping to flip the blue seat red in November. Former House Intelligence Chairman Mike Rogers, a well-respected businessman, will face off against al-Assad in head-to-head polling. The Republicans just barely lead. But the socialists convulsing the Democrat Party are not only chalking up wins in deep blue territories, they are also making inroads in a country which, having taken too much for granted, has grown less enthusiastic about capitalism and less supportive of our longtime ally, Israel. Republicans have taken to calling opponents communists, aware that the socialist label no longer destroys a candidate's chances. And that is especially true among young people. According to polling by the Cato Institute, nearly 2/3 of Americans ages 18 to 29 have a favorable view of socialism. Nearly 2/3. That is who voted for al-Assad. Polling indicates that some 80% of young people favored the leftist former health official over the establishment-backed Hallie Stevens. Al-Assad ran especially well in college towns. Surveys show that he is mainly white liberals with college and graduate degrees who are hearing the siren call of the socialist left. Democrats' advantage in the generic ballot, now at 7 points according to the Real Clear polling averages, is slightly lower than it was a few months ago, which might indicate a repudiation of the slide toward collectivism. But other surveys, like those from CNN and Marquette, show voters viewing Democrats more favorably than they did last spring. And maybe the leftward thrust of the party is actually helping the party's standing. For Republicans, that should be alarming. Nate Silver has suggested the Republicans could keep the House, which he calls a low probability event, if the economy is booming, which it is, and if Republicans win the argument that Democrats are too far left. For sure, Republicans need to talk up the extreme and anti-American ideas being touted by some on the left. Dangerous ideas like abolishing the police and prisons and eliminating the Electoral College in the United States Senate. In 2021, at the peak of the woke era, State Representative Francisca Hong, frontrunner for the Democrat nomination for the Wisconsin's governor, called for cancellation of Thanksgiving, as we've mentioned over and over again. But it's not enough to just point out all of this kookery. Republicans must also show voters how they will make their lives better. Just as it was not enough for Democrats to make hating President Trump the central plank of their party's platform for the last decade, Republicans cannot rely solely on the public's aversion to anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism to win elections. They must offer something positive, something better. With only 90 days left before the midterm elections, time is running out to do that. The frustration for many of us is our elected officials do not seem to be trying. Republicans control both houses of Congress, but have barely taken advantage of that majority in the last year. While the first year of Trump's second term saw the passage of the Big Beautiful Bill, which saved average American families thousands of dollars in taxes, the last several months have yielded few wins. Congress did pass a roughly $70 billion reconciliation bill that funded ICE and Customs and Border Patrol through the balance of Trump's term, but that is hardly the stuff of campaign messaging. Trump's success in closing the border has caused that issue to recede among voters' priorities. The SAVE Act, a popular bill promising to make our elections more secure, has been mired with several Republican senators blocking its inclusion in reconciliation bills. Most Americans, Republicans and Democrats, approve of voter ID laws, but the bill includes other features like limits on mail-in ballots and proof of citizenship that some found troublesome. Instead of coalescing around a one-issue bill requiring voter ID and forcing Democrats to vote against it, Republicans sent Congress home. Meanwhile, efforts to create a third reconciliation package and advance other Republican priorities have come to nothing. Senate Majority Leader John Thune appears unwilling or unable to push further tax cuts, even though polling indicates such measures would be popular. Recent surveys conducted by right-leaning pollster John McLaughlin shows a majority of voters, 51%, want Congress to enact additional tax cuts to accelerate economic growth, whereas only 26% believe the recent tax reductions are sufficient. He also found that 71% would back a measure allowing homeowners to transfer their low-interest mortgages to new homes, which would instantly increase housing inventory. 2/3 of respondents favored reducing income tax rates to 12% for middle-income Americans currently paying 22 to 24%. Another strong majority wants to index capital gain taxes for inflation. So that those sell houses or stocks are not forced to pay on phantom gains. McLaughlin concludes that nearly 60% of voters would like to see a reconciliation package that combines middle-class tax relief, reduction in waste and fraud, proof of citizenship and voter identification requirements, and other pro-growth reforms. There is the playbook. Republicans should jump on it and Trump should push for it. Additionally, they must advertise not only gains from the one big beautiful bill, but talk up our capitalist system, emphasizing the opportunities that abound in our economy and under this administration. It's no surprise that entrepreneurship has never been hotter. With a huge surge, the number of new companies have created. McLaughlin found that voters repudiate socialism when it's connected to big government solutions. Similar, they embrace capitalism when it's tied to free markets. Republicans need to connect these dots. All right, some comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. I can't stop thinking about the Iranian situation. An individual AGM-114 Hellfire missile, which is the most used by the U.S., they cost about $100,000 each. The Weed Whacker and motorcycle driven flying bomb drones cost an average of $30,000. Western and Allied militaries regularly fire high-end interceptor missiles, such as a $4 million Patriot missile or a $1 million Sidewinder missile, just to knock down a single $20,000 to $30,000 drone. This massive cost imbalance allows attackers to economically overwhelm complex military targets. Perhaps the U.S. should build a great value version. I'm thinking we could overwhelm them with millions of Weed Whacker motor-driven flying bombs with AI controls. Each would probably cost way less than $5,000 each. Just a thought. Thank you very much. Coming from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Speaking of One Big Beautiful Bill, Trump likes the great racehorse name, and he posted it on True Social. Oh, it's racing out of Saratoga. One Big Beautiful Bill. That's great. I wish I would have known. I would have bet on it. All right, we got to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear about Young Frankenstein being presented by Elmira Little Theater. So stay with us.
The only thing more American than apple pie and 4th of July is baseball. This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
Kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Let me ask you a question. Does it matter if the law firm you hire focuses on motor vehicle accidents? Has the experience to take on big insurance? Will go to court to win? Has won over $1 billion for their clients? If that matters to you, come to William Mattar. We are the largest motor vehicle accident firm in the state. Call William Mattar for the recovery you deserve. Hurt in a car, it matters who you hire.
While a life-threatening accident can come out of nowhere, large insurance recoveries do not. If you've been injured in an accident, it's important to hire a law firm that's proven itself in the rural area where your case will be tried. And with 40 years experience in the Twin Tiers, our firm has proven we'll climb to any height to deliver top results. Here's your check.
Wow, thanks, Mike.
I'm good. Don't settle for less. Contact WDC Injury Law for your free consultation today.
Oh, dear coach.
Dear coach, they don't teach you that inner strength is the most important kind of strong. But you taught me that.
They don't teach you how to build confidence in yourself or how to deal with all the pressures all at once. But you taught me that.
First tee was more than golf. It's where I discovered what I'm capable of.
You didn't just prepare me for 18 holes. You were preparing me for every day of my life. Learn more.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, it's time to talk about a classic, The Young Frankenstein. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
All right. That was my intro. Okay. How perfect is this? Because everybody knows that Mel Brooks just celebrated 100 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is arguably one of his biggest classics, but this is, how would you say, translated to a musical? We all know the movie. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, if anybody in the world doesn't know about Young Frankenstein, tell us about Young Frankenstein.
Hit it.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, the movie's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
And the script really stays true to the movie for the musical.
Okay.
And I think, well, obviously Mel Brooks was involved in that, so all the comedy is there. Having the music adds to the comedy. Yeah. It's really funny.
So it's the same storyline. So a scientist in New York, Frederick Frankenstein, but he goes by Frankenstein because he doesn't want anything to do with the Frankenstein name or legacy. Mm-hmm. So he finds out that his grandfather, Dr. Victor von Frankenstein, has died, so he has to travel back to his estate in Transylvania to take care of that, and he ends up meeting like Igor and Frau Blucher and all of these other crazy characters and Transylvanians, and he ends up becoming a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So it follows the same storyline.
Because as we keep mentioning that the film is so classic, do you find it kind of intimidating to take on a classic, either as director or as Igor?
I find it to be exciting.
Yeah.
I also find it to be exciting. Like, I think it's just really awesome to be able to lean into that humor because it's so wild and crazy. You can really have a lot of fun with it. So.
And how do you prepare, in your case, for the acting role, and you prepare as your role as director?
I have been preparing for this for over a year.
Okay.
When I was directing Heathers last summer, that's when I knew that I was going to direct Young Frankenstein this summer. So I have been preparing for over the last year, gathering my production team, getting people interested, trying to figure out how I wanted to execute this. Because given that we're a community theater and we're not for profit, sometimes our resources are limited. So often you have to get creative with what you can pull off and how you can do it.
Sure. And before I ask you how you prepare for Igor, when did it actually start, like from rehearsal till and it's kicking off on the 14th? How long is that process?
So we had auditions in May, and we started rehearsals the first week of June.
Okay, so that's pretty quick turnaround.
It really is, and that's why you have to, as a director, you really have to prepare, and it's an insane amount of work. Anybody that's never directed a big musical like this, it's a crazy amount of work.
Yeah, I would think so. And how do you prepare for your role as Igor?
Well, it's a very silly role, and I'm a very silly person, so it's not too hard. The physicality is, I just kind of jump around a little bit and get into the creature mode.
Sure.
The hardest part of it is getting the Cockney accent right.
Oh yeah, because you got accents and you got singing. There's a lot involved in being a part of it.
Yeah, putting it all together is the hardest part. But
have you sang in the past?
Yeah, I've been parts of a lot of musicals in the past.
Yeah. Speaking of that, this isn't your first time as a duo, as a team.
No.
No, you've done this exact same thing before, right?
Yeah, our first show, I think that was our first show together.
Yeah.
Was it our first show?
I think so. That was my first show.
2019, we did Young Frankenstein at Corning Community College.
Okay.
Courtney was in the ensemble, and I was actually working at Corning Community College. I was their stage manager, and I also did like everything behind the scenes. I helped paint the set, build the set. My friend Annabeth and I were running sound effects and scene changes and cues at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So I was very heavily involved in that, and so was Courtney.
So going back, and again, it's kicking off this week, what is the size of a cast for something like this?
So our cast has 46 people in it.
Oh my goodness.
I like to try to have it be a big cast for shows in Powers Theater. One, because it's such a big, beautiful space, and two, because I want to get as many people involved as possible, because I want people to feel included and to be a part of this. So my production team is over 30 people, so I'm actually trying to keep track of almost 90 people. So it's really crazy, especially right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. 90 people to sign up to do anything. That's a big number.
Yeah, I have a lot of really awesome people that have worked with me on many projects, and then it's always awesome to get new people that you've never worked with. Like, I have people involved in the production team and the cast that I've never worked with before. So it's always awesome to like build new relationships.
What would you say that the favorite part of being involved in something like this, what is the favorite part for each of you?
My favorite part is, let me just say Igor is my favorite character that I've ever played so far. So much fun. But I just love all of the people that are involved in theater and playing around with my friends, and everybody's just so great. So that's my favorite part.
For me, it's seeing it all come together and having all of these different people from different walks of life, people of all ages. We have people, the youngest person in our cast is, I think, 9 years old.
Yeah, I think she's 10 now.
Or 10, and our oldest person is in their 70s.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it's just amazing to have everyone come together and create something. Like, it sounds cheesy, but it really is beautiful, and it gives me goosebumps even talking about it, because it's just so awesome. It's like, wow, we did this. You know, look what we did, guys.
Well, and you mentioned how it all comes together. So what does it feel like getting this close to opening night?
I think it's so fun now that we're in the Clemens Center space.
Yeah.
For me, not so fun right now.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Will be fun when we open next.
Right.
Open.
Yeah.
But right now, we're continuing to add elements to every rehearsal at this stage. So until we get into just dress rehearsals where we're just repeating everything and we have all of the technical elements added, I'm right now in the stressful part of it as a director, but the fun part's coming for me soon. I'm glad you're having fun. I'm glad I can tell you're having fun, and that's perfect because watching you is just the best because she's the best.
Well, and as we get this close, what does a typical rehearsal like? Is it a lot different than when you first started? Other than I know you're getting better and you're like that, but time-wise, more intensity as you get closer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we start, we do kind of small groups, and when you get closer to the end, when everybody's working together, it's more fun for me. I love to have an audience, so.
Sure. But it's really getting all those elements added together, so it's a bit more chaotic, and it's getting, like I said, like 80 people in sync with each other.
Right. And I'm surprised that many people, 80 people, can fit it into their schedules. How many people cancel at a rehearsal each night? Or are they all there? You can't cancel?
Dude, I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, it doesn't happen.
No, when we get into the space, you're really not supposed to have any conflicts or like any. Life happens, things come up.
I see.
But so sometimes it's tough because like I won't have a full cast until Wednesday.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that's terrifying as a director.
I can imagine.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Oh, wow.
Don't be scared.
I'm glad I touched on a sore subject. That's good.
Oh my God, I'm scary.
So people should know, because we've all, I keep saying this, but I think everybody's seen the movie. But who is this performance for? Age restrictions, anything like that, or what would you recommend?
I recommend anybody. I mean, it depends on your kid. Every
Right,
kid's
sure.
different, but I recommend a parent with you if you're under like 12 or 13.
Gotcha.
Because there's some sexual innuendo.
Okay.
But it's really silly. It's not super obvious.
Yeah, like Mel Brooks.
It's
Right,
just not. It just depends on how you feel and how your kid reacts to things. But it's not scary, even though it's about a monster.
Sure.
And it's not really dirty. It's silly.
It's silly.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that people buy tickets ahead of time?
Yes.
Yeah. You can get them at the door, though.
Yes.
Okay. And where's the best place to go? ClementCenter.org to purchase your tickets. Can you find out more? Like, where can they find out more about Elmira Little Theater and all the great work that you do?
They can go to Elmira Little Theater. I believe it's .org.
Okay.
They can also go on our social medias. We have been making a lot. Erica Fiore has been making incredible, like hilarious TikToks for us. I think our TikTok is just at Elmira Little Theater.
Okay.
We also have Instagram, we have Facebook. There's a lot of information, and we've been doing a lot of posts. And Erica Fiore and Annabeth Wheaton have been really amazing at, giving us those shout outs online.
So what's next for Elmira Little Theater? Or no, let's say what's next for you guys each.
What's next for you, bro?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'm hoping to go to school very soon.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I actually, in the fall, I help manage Tag Sylvania.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I'll be there, and I also work at the Clemens Center. But a next theater project, I am working on something, and I'm still trying to solidify details, and I don't want to say what it is.
Don't say anything, but
because
will you come back
it's so
on?
super sick and awesome that someone will try to steal my idea.
Gotcha. Well, you'll come back on then when that happens?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. All right, now I'd like to ask this. This is the toughest question I can ask before we go. What is each of yours favorite song in Young Frankenstein?
Mine is, I have to say Transylvania Mania.
Okay. All right.
Deep Love.
Deep Love?
Because it's... That song is full of innuendo, and it's so funny because it sounds so serious and like romantic.
Yeah.
But it's really dirty.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. All right.
And Abby sings it perfectly, the actress.
Oh, great. Well, thanks so much for giving us so much time this morning. Best of luck. Coming up this week, it's Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein. Elmira Little Theater presents. It's at the Clemens Center. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Elmira Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I grew up partially on a farm outside of Painted Post. There was a lumber mill through the woods and down about a half a mile. They provided all the slab wood, it's called. Outhouses were made of slab wood. I learned a lot of carpentry there. You don't need to start trying to be Michelangelo.
One big day of smooth jazz awaits you at the Ferrario Elmira Jazz Festival. Join us at Thorne Street Park Saturday, August 15th for chart-topping jazz keyboardist Brian Simpson and soprano saxophonist Marion Meadows with local favorite Top Shelf. Celebrate with us. Tickets only $42. It's one big day. Buy tickets at ElmiraJazzFestival.com. Brian, Marion, and Top Shelf. One big day.
It's more than music!
Showers and thunderstorms possible here throughout the afternoon on Monday. We're starting off with some slight rain chances here early on, but then also looking at thunderstorms possible throughout the afternoon and into the evening. It's kind of an unsettled pattern here setting up here throughout the next couple of days, so do be aware of it, but we could be dealing with some decent rainfall as well. Low to mid 80s here across the area, but we'll be muggy. We're looking at those high temperatures staying warm for early this week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and we found out a little bit more about that horse, One Big Beautiful Bill, running at Saratoga. The viewer writes in, he won by a neck, but a win is a win. Yes, and it paid $10.30 to win, $5.52 to place, and $3.46 to show. So a $1 exacta paid $37.49, so not a bad win. It says in the footnotes, One Big Beautiful Bill had the rider reach down to adjust his left iron early, moved up under urging, chased while dropping from the 2-path to the inside on the turn, came back off the rail into the stretch, pursued the runner-up under a drive into the final 16th, gained on the foe late, and got up to prevail under strong handling. So there you go. Thank you for sending that along. Rick writes in and says, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. Whoops lost 23,000 jobs in July. Inflation is outpacing wages. Way to go, Donald Trump. Leadership is his middle name. Trump illegally tore down the East Wing, which the taxpayers paid for, and started to build his grand ballroom without following the proper protocol, like congressional approval, for instance. But of course, Republicans won't say anything because they are scared of Trump. Cease and desist. There goes the DOJ. Looks like Blanche will make it due to the weakness of the Republican Party votes. Great work. Now we have a criminal lawyer running the DOJ. Sweet. Trump says he'll do an awesome job. Trump should know Blanche helped him get convicted of 34 felonies for what that's worth. Fine job. I'm sure Donald and Todd, Wallace, Blanche will make a great pair. Wallace, his middle name is Wallace. Now I understand. Okay. Hey, there's some long overdue news. Trump, according to many Americans, is the worst American in the country's history. Gets my vote. He's a nasty person that only understands the word me. Couple of tidbits from Harry Enton. Trump net approval ratings on jobs -22 underwater. Right time to find a good job, only 29%. Let's have an awesome week. All right. So AOC was on ABC's This Week. Now, of course, there's a lot of talks about whether she's going to run for president. She said, I think to me the fundamental differences, there's many. One prevailing one is democracy. And I believe the Democrat socialists are fundamentally pro-democracy. And we believe in the ballot box. We believe in respecting the outcomes of elections and governing democratically and ensuring that the ideas and policies that are implemented are won through popular vote and popular opinion. And so I think that's why there's so much of what we focus on at the New York City chapter. So every DSA chapter is formed locally. And so the New York City DSA chapter, those are folks that, it's the kind of your local union representative. She also said there's a very large gap between what President Trump says and what he does. So she was on, ABC's This Week. I think that everyday people, everyday Americans, we can see the very large gap between what Donald Trump says and what Donald Trump does. And so Donald Trump may be saying that oil companies are making too much money, but what Donald Trump is doing is starting a reckless war in Iran, having closed-door meetings with oil companies before his election, saying, you give me money, you give me campaign contributions, and I'll do whatever you want. And so what we have seen, everything from Supreme Court rulings to Donald Trump's own policy, is that he is going to jack up prices, not just at the pump, but at everything that you buy that requires the transportation of goods. And so he can say whatever he likes from the Oval Office, but I think people are looking at what he chooses to do. Well, they asked her about her past kind of woke statements. She said, I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke number one was crazy, she said while laughing. And I think that's what's important, is that we have to assess what a candidate is saying now. So never mind what I said in the past. It's all about right this moment. Jonathan Karl followed by asking at what point when the socialist movement went too far, remarking that AOC had previously supported defunding the police as well. AOC clarified that most of these comments were made during the height of COVID shutdowns. And I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to make us a better place. And I actually think that discussion that we had at that time were quite fruitful. I think that we talk about crime today, it's fundamentally different than the way we talked about crime in bringing crime down, right? And I think that all we share the goals of having a low crime rate as possible. I think that during lockdown, of course, rhetoric is not rhetoric that we should use today. And I'm grateful that these candidates have the opportunity to present who they are to their electorate. And they're campaigning on this moment. So never mind, woke one was crazy. Let's see how we do. We got to take another short break. Stay with us. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
At William Matar, they only handle motor vehicle accident cases.
No, we're not going to take any low-ball offers.
There's nothing William loves more than fighting for his clients and giving them the big money they deserve.
Okay, wow.
But everyone needs an outlet, a chance to get away from it all.
Heads bowed, eyes closed, and now go to your happy place.
Rideshare truck, motorcycle, car, only call William Matar.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Come celebrate the 207th Steuben County Fair from Monday, August 17th through Sunday, August 23rd. Wednesday, August 19th is Broken Bee Rodeo starting at 7 p.m. And there's more. Demolition derbies, monster truck show, games, rides, fun for the whole family. For tickets and information, visit SteubenCountyFair.org. Experience the Steuben County Fair from August 17th through the 23rd.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Mark writes in, says, AOC saying Democrat socialists are the face of democracy is a total lie. If they're elected, we won't recognize our country anymore. Total communist. Thank you very much. Now, Tom Del Beccaro says Democrats no longer have their number one weapon to keep their socialist wing in line. The United States has had many political parties in history. The current Democrat Party is the longest reigning major political party in American history. The role of the many lesser known parties in American history has been chastened the then dominant parties and or championed particular issues such as the Greenback Party in 1874, which fought for paper money in the late 1800s. While that Greenback Party is no more, paper money has replaced gold as the dominant American currency. Of course, and then it goes through with all the kind of the history of these various parties. But the plain truth, however, is that the Democrat Party has no control over the DSA, and more importantly, cannot stop it from claiming its members are Democrat and redefine the Democratic Party. Beyond that, consider the Democratic National Committee today. It is not the center of political fundraising for Democrats. The party is broke, but the Democrats are not overly concerned. Instead, they will rely on super PACs to fight the midterms. That dynamic did not exist to any significant degree before 2010, nor is it likely to end anytime soon. Calling it the age of the super PAC, and right now the DSA is making the most of it, much to endanger the longest reigning major political party in American history, the Democrats. Jonathan Turley says that nothing says big tent, because that's the talking point that they keep using, big tent, like a good communist. And we've talked about this in the past, that expansion of this big tent. Let's see, how we doing? We got a couple of New York State issues, but we got to take a short break. And then we're going to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. So get your last minute comments in, and we'll be right back after this.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Showers and thunderstorms possible here throughout the afternoon on Monday. We're starting off with some slight rain chances here early on, but then also looking at thunderstorms possible throughout the afternoon and into the evening. It's kind of an unsettled pattern here setting up here throughout the next couple of days, so do be aware of it, but we could be dealing with some decent rainfall as well. Low to mid 80s here across the area, but we'll be muggy. We're looking at those high temperatures staying warm for early this week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer: I went back and read Steve Sprague's editorial that ends in "common sense, please." It seems that common sense, in Mr. Sprague's mind, means open borders, and I think his opinion of ICE is because he is just watching the wrong news. I'm glad he is retired from DHS. Maybe a new generation will value enforcement of immigration law. All right, AG, Attorney General Letitia James, steers $54 million in taxpayer funds to criminal-friendly groups, according to our friend Saritha Kamadareddy. Nearly one quarter of the $226 million in grants that the Attorney General's office has shelled out since James took office in January of 2019 have gone to anti-police or criminal-friendly groups, according to that report by Saritha Kamadareddy, a former federal prosecutor now running to try to unseat Letitia James. The candidate's report focuses on the Homeowner Protection Program, or HOP, set up in 2012 by James' predecessor, former Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, to help New Yorkers facing foreclosure after the subprime mortgage crisis a generation ago. The state's AG has sole discretion over how its millions of dollars in annual outlays, once derived from mortgage settlement funds and now paid for through the state budget, is spent and who gets it. The Post last year reported that legal and migrant advocacy groups fighting to block New York from helping the Trump administration enforce U.S. immigration laws has been awarded more than $600 million in taxpayer dollars for the city and state government. Kamala Reddy said the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer of the state. She is supposed to be a trusted law enforcement partner. Attorney General James is the opposite. While law enforcement and many local DAs across the state are working hard with limited resources to combat rising crime, AG James is colluding with the criminals. You can find that full piece at the New York Post. Here's an odd one, but this is an update that we have to pass along to you right down the road. Cornell University. Students, do you remember this story? They skinned a bear in a dorm. You remember this? Now Cornell realized they should probably ban that. One Saturday last September, 2 Cornell University students plopped a bear carcass on a table in a dormitory kitchen and began to carve it up. They plan to make black bear pastrami, as one of them described their plans later. But soon after they put the raw meat in the freezer, a picture of the animal laid out on a camo-colored tarp with its hide stripped began to circulate on social media. A complaint was lodged against the students and a police report was filed, yet they were cleared of all wrongdoing by the police and the university. Both had hunting licenses and the bear was killed legally. Now, ahead of another school year, Cornell has expressly banned the processing of wild game in residential kitchens on campus. Lindsay Newstub, a spokeswoman for the university, said in a statement that the new policy was meant to provide clarity regarding what is not appropriate to do in a communal kitchen space. There have been no other known instances of wild animals being processed in residential halls. For those students who'd like to hunt, she said there are many certified vendors near and around campus who can work with hunters to process game. The school had not identified the 2 students, but Aaron Chin said he was one of them on a podcast. He did not respond to a request for comment. How about we end on that note? How's that? All right. That does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. By the way, CNN had a piece, new pain for some 9/11 families, as New York's mayor finds himself in commemoration controversy, where he's going to attend that commemoration. And even CNN's calling him out, suggesting perhaps he should not go. But that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. I want to thank everybody who joined us. Thank you for all of our comments, all your questions, all your waves. We want to thank our good friends from Elmira Little Theater and their upcoming performance of Young Frankenstein. So I hope that you can make it out to that performance. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll be talking with Christopher Leahy and Sharon Leahy about their new book about the life of First Lady Julia Tyler. First Lady, it's called Presidentes. That'll be on tomorrow's broadcast. So don't miss that. I think especially for our history buffs, I think you're really, really going to like that interview. That book doesn't come out until September, but you can obviously pre-order it and be prepared and read Presidentes. All right, that does it. Have a great day, everyone, and we will be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV Big Fox. We'll see you then. I look forward to it already.